Welcome to PAR Podcast, episode 76.22. PAR Podcast is an audio supplement for Public Administration Review, the premier professional journal in the field of public administration. This year, 2015, PAR celebrates 75 years of furthering public administration research, theory, and practice. This episode features comments by Tad Connor, an assistant professor in the Department of Government at New Mexico State University. Professor Connor discusses his article titled Representation and Collaboration, Exploring the Role of Shared Identity in the Collaborative Process. This article is currently available on Early View and will be published in Public Administration Review, Issue 76, Volume 2.
Collaboration and stakeholder engagement are common practice in public service today. And this research emerged from a much larger project on the important role that values and beliefs play in facilitating and building collaborative partnerships in the public sector, with a particular focus on a very unique player in the intergovernmental relations system that's received relatively little attention in public administration, namely Native nations and American Indian communities. And I wanted to understand more specifically how issues of representation and individual attitudes influenced interactions with these particular stakeholders who play an important role in public policy, especially in the Midwest and Western United States. Now, that's especially true in the area of Indian education, where roughly 9 out of 10 Native American students are served in the public school system today. And so tribes in public schools across the country, particularly in the Midwest and the Western United States, are a major stakeholder that possess a unique set of rights, largely based on the fact that tribes are sovereign nations, but also that the federal government has a trust responsibility, as established in numerous treaties, Supreme Court cases, acts of Congress, executive orders, that distinguish them from other actors in the external environment for public school officials. And to help public school districts meet the unique cultural and academic needs of Native students, there are numerous federal grants that public school districts are eligible for that serve large numbers of Native students that accompany expectations that the district will involve or engage Native communities and parents in some meaningful way in collective decision-making processes. And so, understanding how representation in the individual attitudes of public officials shape the frequency to which they actually build meaningful partnerships and engage tribal stakeholders is the foundational research question guiding this investigation. And so to explore this question, I used a unique mail survey of Indian education directors in New Mexico and Oklahoma who oversee Indian education programs, but also who represent the school districts in some way in their involvement and interaction with Native American parents and tribal officials, that ask them numerous questions about how frequently they interact with tribal stakeholders and other actors in the external environment, the quality of an Indian education in their districts, and a bevy of questions related to Indian education programs and also their individual kind of identity and attitudes towards the rights of indigenous groups. And so what I find is that representation has a significant impact on the frequency to which public officials interact with Native American nations. And more specifically, what I find is that districts that have officials that reflect both the co-ethnic and racial identity of tribes in their area based on being both American Indian, but also members of the tribes in their service area tend to have higher levels of interaction with these particular groups. And so this helps us actually push the boundaries of representative bureaucracy a little bit further in understanding that it's not only important to have someone that maybe represents the racial identity of a particular population, such as American Indians, but more importantly, maybe that the co-ethnic and tribal identity that identifies a group culturally based on shared language, laws, customs, so on and so forth, may actually be just as important in helping facilitate these interactions. And I also find that attitudes matter as well, that public officials that saw tribes as deserving to be involved in decision-making processes had more positive attitudes towards tribal involvement that tend to be reflected in their reported behavior in terms of reaching out and engaging these communities. And so hopefully this research is going to be useful for public officials, not only in education, but in other policy areas that involve tribal stakeholders as well, to try to meet common goals and to solve common problems between native and non-native groups and governments.
This concludes PAR Podcast, episode 76.22. To listen to additional episodes and learn more about Public Administration Review, please visit us online at publicadministrationreview.org. You can also find us on Facebook and Twitter at PA Review. Thanks for listening.